Your Excellency, Haile Mariam Desalegn, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Carlos Lopez, UN Undersecretary General and Executive Secretary of the ECA, Minister Mokhtar Ould Diai, distinguished and senior government officials, development partners, private sector representatives, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for us to be here, and thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, and the people of Ethiopia for always being gracious hosts. Mr. Carlos and Madam Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, thank you for putting all this together. This gathering is a good starting point if we use it wisely for determining where Africa moves to next. We all know exactly what Africa needs going forward on integration, prosperity, and stability, and more equal global partner Africa should be. But there is value in once more reviewing these plans, as long as we can understand why we are not there yet. Are we able to find a different way of approaching our long-standing challenges that will give us consistent results that we want? Allow me to offer a few thoughts on how we can build new momentum. First, we have become used to thinking about development as something we do with money or other means coming from outside of our countries or our continent. However, we must continue to challenge ourselves, focusing on and making better use of what we already possess or can mobilize domestically, and there is plenty. The advancement of the financial sector in Africa, including the creation of national and regional capital markets, is an encouraging sign. But we need more and better collaboration to build the relevant and sophisticated systems required to manage Africa's substantial financial resources here on our continent. The idea is not to do things blindly at our own cost so that the money continues to flow. It has to be about making our societies better, because that is what we Africans want and deserve. Second, real impact happens when we first decide what we want to do and then apply the money to it, as opposed to doing what the money may dictate. External support should not determine the right choices for us. When we are able to build something that works for ourselves and by ourselves, then we are in a better position to forge a more meaningful partnership. This kind of momentum unlocks energy and provides desired outcomes. It also allows us to stop accepting frequent excuses regarding capacity and skills and funding. Third, we will achieve our aim of a unified Africa in our objectives faster if we urgently collaborate more closely in our efforts towards regional integration. There are quick wins to be made by simply applying political will. For example, in less than 2 years, the Northern Corridor infrastructure project in the East African region has already led to freer movement of East Africans, significant reduction of non-tariff barriers, and a big drop in cost of mobile phone roaming within the region. We are also making good progress in the planned major regional infrastructure projects, just to mention a few. Finally, we are used to taking the big decisions as governments, but we will not get the prosperous economies we seek unless the private sector plays a prominent role. For public-private partnerships to be a reality, government and private sector need to work together, not only on financing, but also planning and implementation right from the beginning. We have given ourselves another 50 years to get Africa to where we want it to be. This may seem like a long time, but it really isn't, given the enormity of what needs to be done. We seem to have everything we need to achieve our Agenda 2063, except a sense of urgency and real ownership. So let us not continue to think someone else will get it done for us, or else we will only be waiting for ourselves while the world waits for us. Now, turning briefly to what our chairperson said, the chairperson of the African Union, a number of things on whether it is women empowerment and involvement in our economies, or lifting visa restrictions for our African brothers and sisters, and many other things. All of these, as we have understood and listened to many expert advice, I think most of what needs to be done is already known. has already been very well articulated. Even for countries, including my own, which has made small gains here and little progress there, I think we should just speak from it that most of these things we intend to do and keep urging ourselves to do are doable. There are no miracles to be performed. These are things that are doable. And it's a question of translating the political will into real actions that give us the results we want. I mean, and from the common sense of or behind empowering women as an issue of rights, also as an issue of the economic sense it makes when they constitute a big part of our population. This is where we started from in doing what we had to do on the issue of involvement and empowering the women in Rwanda, not only in economic activities, but also in decision-making levels, including that of parliament. And for example, then turning to the question of visa restrictions, and as the chairperson said rightly, of course, initially there were worries. People were telling us we are going to confront a number of threats in various ways. But we thought taking the risks to confront these threats was worth it. As Lopez explained eloquently about risks and taking risks, because we are convinced that the risks that are there are not new, are not in any case more than the risks we already have by actually creating these restrictions. So we tried it as an experiment, and it has worked so far. There are more gains than losses from taking those risks. Then you turn to the integration we saw in East Africa. For example, in creating one network area when it came to telecommunications, we found that more people got access to the tools of communication. There was more money, but there was reduction of the fees people have to pay in terms of communication. So then you go back and ask yourself a question: why didn't we do this much earlier? What were we waiting for? Things that, in fact, more or less risk-free, only to register the gains that we have seen. So until we move forward and do the practical things as the chairperson said, then we will continue to have dreams that delay or that will never come true when all possibilities are in place for us to achieve this. I thank you for your kind attention and wish you a very fruitful conference. Thank you.